Welcome, everyone. We're just going to allow a few more minutes for people to enter into the room, and then we'll be getting started with the presentation. And again, we'll be getting started shortly. We're going to give a little time for attendees to get in. There were 80 attendees, or a little over 80 attendees signed up, so I just want to make sure we give everybody a little time before we get started. We'll just give it a few more minutes and then we'll get started. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this open house presentation on construction. My name is Dan Dukniak. I am the general manager of the Waukesha Water Utility. have been at the water utility since for the duration of this project, and will be here through this project. So we want to take a moment to thank you for joining us here tonight. And with that, I'm going to go over a few ground rules with regards, or a few housekeeping items with regards to this. We are having an online meeting because of the COVID-19 and for safety reasons during COVID-19. Rather than have a large group in a room where people will be mingling, we're going to do this online because we've done a few of these and it seems to go very well. So you are muted. You can use you can submit questions using the Q&A box. There's a Q&A box that you have available to you. And then we will answer. There have been some questions that have been submitted via email. We will answer those. We'll try to answer some of those through the presentation. And then if the ones that we don't hit, we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. The meeting is being recorded and it will be available at the greatwateralliance.com if you want to review or go over it again, or show a link to your neighbors or other people that have questions with regards to it. Feel free to share that. With regards to the agenda and the presenters, again, my name is Dan Dukniak. I'll be talking about the need for the reliable water supply. The mayor will talk about working on a solution together. Then we'll turn it over to Katie Richardson. She'll talk about the route and the communications. And finally, Jim Cobb, he's the construction manager. He'll give an overview of the construction and what to expect during the construction. We also have Greg Corder on the line from S.J. Lewis. He's the project manager for S.J. Lewis, who's the contractor that'll be working on the job. So if there's any contractor related questions, we can sure have him get involved and answer those questions also with regards to the contracting. So let's move right into this. We'll talk about the need for a new water supply. I think there are a lot of people out there that are very aware of why we're looking for a new water supply. Basically, we have an aquifer that is declining through overuse of the water that is in the deep aquifer. And there is that red Maquoketa shale layer that prevents water from naturally percolating through the soils and recharging that aquifer. So the groundwater is down more than 350 feet, which is more than what the state deems as a zone that needs to be groundwater management zone or groundwater management area, where we need to manage the groundwater a little bit differently in this area. And ultimately, when we're using groundwater and groundwater's declining at that rate, we're running into contaminants. And one of the contaminants we're running into is radium. And our water exceeds the limits for the radium standards, and we are under a court order to bring our water into compliance with the radium standards. We looked at a number of different alternatives, and the shallow ground well alternatives that are near the city of Waukesha and in Waukesha County would have a significant impact on the wetlands, rivers, and streams in our areas. So there would be a significant environmental impact associated with those. So we are looking to eliminate our current dependency on sandstone wells and switch to Great Lakes water for our water supply. Waukesha was able to apply for Great Lakes water under the Great Lakes Compact. We are considered a community in Australian County, even though we are not within the Great Lakes Basin. We are in a county that straddles the divide, and in the development of the Great Lakes Compact, that was an exception that was made for those communities. And we applied for Great Lakes water under that exception, a community in Australian County, and the 8 Great Lakes governors and the 2 premiers from the Canadian provinces agreed that our only reasonable water supply was a Great Lakes alternative. And it'll be sustainable for the future. It's protective of the environment. And again, it is the best solution for our ratepayers, which are the most important people that are involved in this entire project. So now I'm going to turn it over to the mayor, where he's going to talk about working together on a solution, but I'll be back later during the question and answer section of this to answer any questions that you may have. So Mayor, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Dan. I have some brief comments on how we arrived to this point and how we are all working together. First, I want to thank you, Dan, and your team for putting together this virtual open house. The goal of the open house is to explain what's ahead for pipeline construction in the city and village of Waukesha. We also want to answer your questions about the construction to occur within the city and village. There will be similar meetings for people in other areas that our pipeline will go through in order to bring Lake Michigan water to Waukesha and then return it back to its source. Tonight's speakers are just a few of many individuals who are working to provide Waukesha with our new source of water. No community can thrive without a reliable drinking water supply, so I am thankful that construction is finally beginning. By 2023, we will have made the switch from our depleted and contaminated supply of groundwater to our new source of safe and sustainable water from Lake Michigan. This effort began long before I became mayor in 2014. I'm proud to say we have reached a number of major milestones in the past few years, however. First of all, our team successfully worked with the Wisconsin DNR to get it the information it needed in order for it to provide us with approval. Second, we became the first, and so far the only community that is completely outside of the Great Lakes Basin to be approved to use lake water under the Great Lakes Compact. We had to convince 8 governors and 2 Canadian premiers that we had no reasonable water supply solution other than Lake Michigan water. In 2016, after an extensive review, the Compact Council agreed with our conclusion. Third, we negotiated a historic deal with the city of Milwaukee to supply us with Lake Michigan water. Mayor Barrett and I signed this agreement in 2017. This agreement saves Waukesha residents and businesses $4 million per year compared to other potential water suppliers. Next, we settled our differences with New Berlin about the location of our booster pumping station and worked out other issues to expedite pipeline construction through New Berlin as well as all other communities. Then just this year, we were awarded a competitive grant for federal financing for the water supply part of our project. This will save us almost $1 million per year in interest costs compared to other loans. And now, of course, we are seeing the actual start of construction. So I want to thank the utility staff and consultants again, as well as city officials that have all worked so hard to get us to this point. Just as importantly, however, I want to thank our community. Our residents, our business owners, and our civic groups have all been strong supporters of this project. I also thank our federal and state elected officials who have worked with us to ensure our city's success. So let's move on to the information you need to know about the construction phase of our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm back again. And before we turn it over to Katie, I had a big note in front of me that said to explain what specific areas we're talking about. And of course, I didn't read through it. So I want to make clear that this is for the Waukesha and the village of Waukesha portions of the construction. That doesn't mean that we are not going to try to answer some questions of the other routes, but there will be specific meetings for those residents in New Berlin, Muskego, and Franklin that will be impacted by this. But again, this specific, we're going to be concentrating on the actual construction that's happening within the city of Waukesha. So I wanted to just make sure that, which is contract package 5 of the return flow. So with that, I'll turn it over to Katie, and Katie can take it from here.
Thanks, Dan. So as mentioned, my name is Katie Richardson, and I am the program manager for the Great Water Alliance, and part of the team that has been working on the design and the permitting for the new water supply. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the route and the communications that you're going to see from the program, and then particularly this contract package 5 and a couple of other places for you to get some information. So as Dan just mentioned, this is for contract package 5, and this is the first in a series of informational meetings that we'll be having to talk about construction in different areas along the entire route. Contract package 5 has the pipeline that is for return flow that is in the city and village of Waukesha, the city of New Berlin. It has the pipeline starting at the clean water plant in Waukesha to I-43 and the right of way there. and it is just under 9 miles. Its average depth is about 10 to 15 feet, and it is mostly going to be constructed in the right-of-way. There is a couple easements, but all of those easements have already been obtained. So unless you are an owner of one of those easements, it will be in the right-of-way along the route. As I mentioned, this is contract package 5 is one of the pieces of the project. It starts at the clean water plant and goes to I-43. If you pardon the map, it was made a while ago. So in the village of Waukesha, if you follow the city of Waukesha, village of Waukesha, city of New Berlin, and then I-43 is this the section in the middle, right underneath the return flow. That's the break between contract package 5 and contract package 6. There's also a piece of return flow pipeline that's in a separate package, contract package 2B, which is in with the state for review and will be bid and start construction next year. For contract package 5, there's 2 sections of return flow pipeline. One section is from the clean water plant to Sunset and the bypass, or Les Paul. And the second section is from Racine and Schwartz Road in New Berlin to I-43. So we're not going to talk about that section today. We're going to really focus on the section between the clean water plant on Century Avenue and Sunset and the bypass. So you're probably asking yourself why there's 2 pipelines for a water supply line. And the reason is, as Dan and the mayor mentioned, as part of the Compact Council, we do need to approval. We need to return all the water that's being used in the city of Waukesha. So all the water that's coming from the city of Milwaukee to the city of Waukesha is going to be measured, and then that same an equal volume of water will be returned. Not the exact same water, but an equal volume that we borrow to use will be returned back to the Lake Michigan watershed. And what this accomplishes is it helps us to restore the natural groundwater flow between the Great Lakes Basin and then the river shed that goes to the current Fox River discharge. Right now, because of the depletion of the aquifer, there is some water that is being pulled underground from the Great Lakes Michigan, Great Lakes / Lake Michigan watershed to the Fox River watershed and eventually the large Mississippi watershed. By reducing the drawdown on the aquifer, we'll be able to help restore that natural groundwater flow and actually stop water from coming from the Great Lakes Basin into the current watershed. Also, this return flow and returning the same volume that we use creates no impact on the lake level. So everything that's coming out goes back in, therefore no net impact on the lake level. And a couple other additional benefits for the environment are that with the flow augmentation from returning this water back to the Root River, we're actually going to be able to enhance some habitat and help benefit fisheries. Currently, the location where the outfall is being sited and where was selected to return the flow back to at low flow conditions is only about 6 inches deep. And this makes it very difficult for fish to get all the way back and spawn as far into the river as they would like to. So this additional flow that we're returning is going to increase that base depth while not having an impact at flood levels, but at the low flow situations, it will increase the base depth, which benefits the fish. A second additional benefit is that with the well water, most residents are treating that with water softeners. That water softener introduces salt into the water. That's part of how it works. And then you have radium and salt coming from the well water, the radium from the naturally occurring from the aquifer and the salt that's being added for the softening that ends up at the wastewater treatment plant and has to be removed. So without having to go through that process, we get to remove radium and salt from the wastewater stream. The construction schedule, which I'm sure is one of the main questions that you came here to listen to, is a constantly evolving item. The schedule is always changing, but we're going to try and give you as much insight as we can. Pipeline construction is going to begin at the clean water plant in the next few weeks. You're going to see that this year, and we're going to start at the clean water plant and work east. There is always a risk that when you're opening up approximately 9 miles of ground that you're going to find something that makes you have to change your plan. So we're we're planning to continue in this eastern direction along the route that we showed you earlier, but there may be some times where there's going to be crews moving to a different section or having to move around to complete a different piece of work. There's also some constraints from seasonal restrictions and also local authorities having jurisdiction that have also other constraints that make us have to move around. But in general, we're going to be working from the clean water plant headed east towards I-43. In 2021, you can expect to see some closures and continued open cut activities throughout the year. Particularly, there's a work being done in front of Sunset Bank and Sunset Family Restaurant with a crossing at a railroad there. You'll start to see that work next year. And then this project, this section of the work for the water supply project is expected to be completed in 2022. And again, as I mentioned, the construction schedule is constantly evolving. So the website for the Great Water Alliance is your best source of up-to-date information. There's going to be an interactive map, route map on the website that you can find an icon for where we expect construction crews to be working. There's going to be specific updates in your area section when there's information that we need to get out to you, upcoming events, or where you can get more information or anything of that nature. There's also, if you have some questions and haven't taken a look at the website, there's also myths and facts about construction and actually the whole program, history and everything like that, and also some frequently asked questions to peruse. And again, construction updates will be located on the website. We also have some other resources for you to get some information. If you like social media, we have a Facebook and a Twitter. We're constantly having little updates on there and stories driving you either to the website if there's an update or little pieces of information on the social media. You can also sign up for our newsletter where we push out, again, stories about what's going on, progress, what's happening with permits or construction. And you can find out information through that e-newsletter, and that sign up is also on the website. And you can register for the construction emails. If you give us your email information, we can update you with specific construction updates if that's something you're interested in. And as always, we have a hotline and an email where you can send in questions. The hotline has a voicemail system, so you can leave us a message and we'll get somebody back to you within 24 hours, or you can send an email and the same thing, we'll respond within 24 hours. And one final, or a couple final items. When crews are in your area, you will be notified with a door hanger, and Jim will, the construction manager, will get a little bit more specific with that, but you can see what it looks like on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll find something hanging on your door. There's also going to be signs related to the detours that are being set up and the maintenance of traffic plans of where construction work is going to be happening within the right-of-way and the roadways. And then there's also will be inspectors out overseeing the work that will have a safety vest with the Great Water Alliance logo. So that 3-looped infinity sign that with the Great Water Alliance on a safety vest would always be a person that you could reach out and ask a question if something's happening near your property, or if you are driving by and really have a burning question, you can always find a person with the Great Water Alliance safety vest on. Finally, though, safety is the #1 priority for this job and construction. We want to make sure you're safe. So please be mindful of the barrels and signs that are going to be out there. Obey any flagging operations as they're going on. Don't get too close to construction. If you do, as I mentioned, really have a burning question for somebody out at the site, please find the person with the Great Water Alliance safety vest so they can show you where to safely stand. We've designed the maintenance of traffic in the construction zones and the detours to leave safe space for you to drive through and get through the construction zone without obstructing traffic. We also need to have enough room for the workers to be safe. And we have to have enough room to work efficiently. So we're balancing 3 priorities for safety and then also moving the progress along. So please follow the posted signs and look for messaging and signs to be posted. They will be the WSDOT regulation, so it'll look very familiar to other construction you've seen. It's going to be the exact same type of signs, marking the different pathways and marking where construction is occurring. And this is a rolling construction, so there's going to be, it's always it's not going to be constantly moving, but it will be moving along as the construction gets completed in the different areas. And with that, I will turn it over to our construction manager, Jim Cobb.
Thanks, Katie. My name is Jim Cobb, and I provide the oversight for the construction management team that will be overseeing the contractor's work, the safety, the traffic control, and all the other activities that are associated with the work coming. So let's look at the route that we have coming up. So we'll be coming down Century to Sunset, and then going down Sunset to Southwest, to Les Paul, over to Sunset again. And that will be this portion for the city of Waukesha and the village of Waukesha. So everybody wants to know what side of the road we're going to be on. So let's go over that for a second. So on Century Drive, we'll be on the west side, which is actually on the side that has the clean water plant. We're going to start at the clean water plant, and we'll progress forward towards the Sunset Drive, which then we will cross that and be on the south side. So the south side is the side with the bank and the restaurant along there. Then we'll turn on to West Avenue, and we'll begin on the east side because there's a lot of utilities there. As we move forward, we will actually move to the west side around Freeman Street. And that's to help expedite things and move it along and not bother the other existing utilities. Once we get down to Les Paul, we'll cross and be on the north side, actually not be on the road, but actually off the road, and be doing some trenchless technologies to kind of limit some things, and then some open cut also all the way down to Sunset. So let's talk about the contractor. S.J. Lewis was selected to do this work, and they are very experienced in pipe. That is what they do for a living. They're also very experienced in trenchless technology, which we're going to be using on this. There's some dewatering, and they have experience in that, and clearing and grubbing, erosion control, and definitely some traffic control. So they were selected as the low bid, but also pre-qualified experienced contractor to perform this work. So let's look at Century, because this is what it looks like now. It may not be wet with the rain, but we've placed pipe along there, S.J. Lewis has, and as you can see, it's off the bike path. It has some barricades next to it so that you can see it. And this is a good example of what you will see in the future as far as how the pipe is stored. Trying to limit the impact to the community, but also to get the work done so that it is completed and it's out of your way. So this is looking on Century towards Sunset. Next slide. So all this work will be about a 30-inch ductile iron pipe. And I should have talked about that on the last slide. It's going to be about 7 foot deep. So it's not overly deep, 7 to 10 foot, depends on the area. Try and follow the contour of the land. So there'll be some trenching activities that also go along with that with open cut. We'd ask that you keep your distance from that. If you have questions, as Katie said, find one of the people that have the Great Water Alliance vest, and we'll gladly answer all your questions. We'll be doing some trenchless technology on that. And what the trenchless will do is that allows us to avoid some waterways and some wetlands and also some intersections. So while it may look like nothing is happening there, trust me, down in that pit, there's things going on. So, if you go by and you think nothing is going on, stop and ask one of the guys that have the Great Water Alliance vest if you have a question. And I think you'll see that there's some activities down in the pit because that's where all the work really occurs. Next slide. So, our priorities are the same. As a team, we look out for the public safety, the worker safety, and then the project efficiency and quality. And that's what our role is, along with the contractor. They're of the same mindset. So again, I'd ask that if you have questions, gladly answer them, but let's do it safely and just find somebody with a Great Water Alliance vest on. There's a couple other things I'm going to address because I know that these are important, and we're going to talk about them on the door hanger. So door hangers are going to be left at a legal and visible location on the property owner's residence. And so that'll mean a door, right? That's why we call them door hangers. And these are going to let you know what's coming in the future. There'll be a notification in writing a minimum of 14 days prior to any street closure to kind of give you a heads up. Again, it'll also be on the Great Water Alliance. And then you'll be notified in writing a minimum of 3 working days prior to closing a driveway or restricting access to the property, with a follow-up notification on a minimum of 1 day prior to restricting access. But let's stay on that one for a second, because nobody likes to have their driveway restricted, right? It's kind of an inconvenience. And you already got a little noise going on with equipment out there. Maybe there's a little dust. And if there's been some rain, maybe there's a little dirt going on that has to be swept up often. So we're going to try and limit that as much as possible. If you have something that's particular for your resident, you have an event going on, a family reunion, you have deliveries of something special that needs to happen, if you'll just let me know, we'll facilitate those. And, you know, the driveways, we're going to come across in front of them, but we're going to try and get past it as soon as possible and get it restored. We're going to try and make sure that you have some other access to the driveway. And if there's something special you need with it, you have to let us know, and we will definitely try and accommodate that. Next slide. So this one goes back to Dan for the question and answers.
Thank you, Jim. Again, my name is Dan Dukniak, and I will be answering some questions along with Katie. Katie Richardson will take some of the questions also. We had a few submitted. We'll start with those. And then if there's other questions that people have, if you can put them in the Q&A area, that would be great. Or you can email them to us. So we have received questions, and there have been some questions about the reservoir and the location of the reservoir and the booster station that was slated for Minooka Park in New Berlin. And I just wanted to quick address that very quickly. That is we have reached an agreement with the city of New Berlin to relocate the reservoirs and booster station to a site that was not originally available to us at the Nike or Missile Park and Rempe site in the city of Waukesha. We have purchased the site, and we are in the process of working on that approval from the Public Service Commission. Since they did approve our site at the Minooka Park site, we do have to go back to them and revise our application. We did a limited reopening for that, and we are requesting that relocation. We are anticipating an approval at this point in time, but we do not know what their outcome is going to be. A couple other questions we had questions about water bills and water bills being out of control. And one person referred to a bill of being $400 to $500 per quarter. Well, I did do some research on that, and I will let you know that within the last 6 months, we have seen our residential water use go up. It is actually 10% higher than what we anticipated, but we also have seen commercial and industrial water use be a little lower, with commercial and industrial starting to rebound at the start of the COVID. So we are looking at this. We did some research, and families are at home more. A lot of events are canceled. Kids are being homeschooled. Families are spending more time at home, so therefore water is being used. You may have purchased a pool that you're filling for your kids in the summertime. So there's been a lot more water use that has been that we've seen with regards to our residential customers. With regards to a $400 to $500 bill per quarter, if you are getting a bill that's high, I would encourage you to call the water utility and have us look at a leak or do a leak detection survey at your home. That seems to be pretty high if you were not watering your grass. If you were watering your grass, I could see that it could get up that high, or if you had a sprinkler system, it could get up that high. But we have not seen our average bills go up that much yet. In fact, we've only had a 10% rate increase for water back in 2017. And we have implemented the return flow rates, which are about $2.30 a thousand on the water. So we're not really seeing the bills that high yet. So if you are having a $400 to $500 bill, we would have you could check. Toilets are a big leaking device that we see water use go up on. So if you just turn off all the water in your house and look at your water meter at night before you go to bed, and then look at it in the morning. And if your water meter is moved at all and you have not been up during the middle of the night using a lot of water, then you probably have a leak in your house somewhere. So I would encourage you to look at that. Obviously, that we have the toilet rebates program, the faucet, the shower heads rebate program. We have the rain barrel rebate program. There's a lot of rebates that we have going on at the utility, and I would encourage everyone to take advantage of those also. But there are going to be increases coming. With that being said, we did hear everyone, and we are switching to monthly billing, and that will start in February of next year. So we are already planning for that, and we are going to be, I shouldn't say we are moving. We are going to be requesting from the Public Service Commission permission to begin monthly billing in February of next year. So hopefully they'll approve that, which they have in the past for other utilities. And we will move to monthly billing for that. Katie, I think there was some construction route and detail questions that you were going to answer.
Yes, there's one question that came in from the question and answer app about what will be restored will be the same as before concrete. In the city of Waukesha, there's concrete roads, and the city of Waukesha has asked that we restore back to concrete roads. So that is what will be restored there. In the village of Waukesha, what is existing will be restored back to what is there right now. So whatever is out there, that's what we will use to restore. Sidewalks will be restored too, as to, it'll be slightly better than before, obviously, because it'll be brand new. And then any landscaping that isn't enhanced, so grass and things like that, and then existing trees will be replaced. Okay. And then I'll go back, Dan, to the ones that were submitted early. There was a question about what portion of Racine will be under construction for how long, and then what roads, if any, will be closed and for the length of time. And again, that's outside of this open house, but there will be lanes and parts of Racine Avenue that will be under construction with the contract package 2B after that gets its state approval. And at that time, we'll be using the same exact sort of notification system. It'll be up on the website. You'll get the door hangers that Jim was talking about. For if there is any street closures that we need to do for construction, you're going to get notice about that. Otherwise, there'll be the detour signage and message boards that'll be out there to talk about what roads are going to be closed and when. It's going to vary. There's some small intersections might be closed for a day or 2 or 3 days so we can get through. Other times there'll be lanes of the roads, but there'll be traffic moving along the side of it for could be months at a time as we're working the pipeline along the route. There was another question about the specific areas, and again, really you're going to see door hangers, and you want to be checking the website, and you'll see the moving construction. Because of the evolving nature of this construction, we're starting in the clean water plant. We're going to see what's up there as the ground gets opened up, and we'll have information available. Okay, I think there's one more question. There was a question too about Muskego and the roundabout that is, or the traffic circle that's new at Woods and Durham. That is going to be horizontally directionally drilled, or Trenchless Technology, as Jim also discussed. So that will be going underneath that new traffic circle. And then there was some questions about where the pipe was located. We went over that as well. Dan, there is a new question that's just come in about okay, great.
I saw that about the AMF West Dallas 76th Street. Will it be open? Will the entry to the parking lot be open? Yes, there may be times during the construction where we may shut it down. I would anticipate those being in the morning, just because the connection is coming from the east side of the river, or there's a creek that runs through there. The connection pipe will be coming from the east side there, but there will be an opening there, and the entry should remain open for all of their events that they have at the AMF in West Dallas.
Yes. Okay. There's another question about the open house for New Berlin. That open house we're looking to schedule in about the next month or so. We are working with the staff at the City of New Berlin to get the date set, and then we'll be sending out mailers along the route for that. And then, Dan, there's
And then
another, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, are the residents of the village of Waukesha that are currently on well water going to be forced to switch this water and build accordingly? No, the residents of the village of Waukesha, the residents of the village of Waukesha who already have that water will be switched to that water. The residents, if you're currently on a well, you will be on a well, and there would have to be an agreement in place between the city and the village before village residents would be allowed to switch to Waukesha water.
Yeah. Okay. And
Then there's another one, Katie.
yep. What will the detour routes look like? It depends on the different situation, but all the detour routes are going to detour to a road that is the same weight class or higher. So if you, we also look at the traffic usage. So if there is a road that is heavily trafficked with trucks and has a higher weight class, like something like Sunset, it's going to detour to a road that is that same class, and that will be the marked detour. So there'll be signs that, just like you have seen before, it says detour this way, and it was going to take traffic to the same class or higher to get away from the construction if needed.
I just want to apologize if you answered the AMF question. I was looking at the answered questions. So you may have answered when I was looking to see what the questions were. So I apologize for that redundancy there. I think that is it. So if there are no other questions, I guess we can wrap this up, and I can thank everyone for their time. I'm glad we were able to get you out of here fairly quickly, 45 minutes. But again, I encourage anyone that has any questions or comments. Thank you for putting that up on the board there. You can contact us on our hotline 409-444-4444. You can visit the website greatwateralliance.com. There's a lot of information out there. You can go to your area, and there'll be specific information about coming through your area, whether you're in Waukesha, New Berlin, Muskego, Franklin, or Milwaukee, West Dallas. There'll be areas once we get to that point, they'll be in your area, and there'll be more specific information on it on the website. We also have the social media. You can follow us. There'll be updates out there, where we are, where we're going, how the construction is progressing, and when we anticipate getting to your area. So there's a lot of great ways for you to be informed about the project, and to be informed about the construction and how it's going to impact you, our residents, and the residents along the route more specifically, or your commute. And we would encourage you to utilize any of these forums for your information.
Right.
Again, I want to just thank everyone that was on the call. Katie, Jim, Greg, I want to thank you for being involved. The mayor, I believe he had to leave us. So, but I want to thank everyone that was informed in this. And again, the residents, thank you very much for your time. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and do not hesitate to ask.
And Dan, we just have one more question that popped up about Century Drive. Century Drive is going to have traffic two ways, and you will be able to get into access whatever you need to get to along the route. There was also, just to be clear, with not just MF, but all the businesses along the route, we are going to be maintaining access to. If we need to close one of the access and direct people a different way, as Jim mentioned, the construction management team will be coming to talk to you about what your needs are and how we can maintain that. But if there will be access maintained to all the businesses to get people to work along Century Avenue as well. Okay, just want to catch that one before we wrap up.
Yep. All right, so again, thank you, and have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.